After nearly 3 years of brutal warfare, unimaginable destruction, and heartbreaking loss, Ukraine may be approaching a decision that could change the course of its future and the future of Europe. Reports have emerged suggesting that Ukrainian leadership is 90% ready to accept a dramatic shift, one that involves surrendering control of critical territories, but not sovereignty. What does this mean? Is peace finally within reach? Or is this just the calm before the next storm? The war between Russia and Ukraine began in 2022 and quickly escalated into one of the most devastating European conflicts since World War II. With thousands dead, millions displaced, and cities reduced to rubble, the toll has been enormous. But this conflict didn't begin in 2022. It traces back to 2014, when Russia seized Crimea, an act condemned by the world but never reversed. The regions of Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhzhia, and Kherson have since become battlegrounds, forming a vital land corridor between Russia and Crimea. These areas are now at the center of a potential historic compromise. According to a recent New York Times report, Ukrainian officials have privately indicated they are 90% ready to accept Russian occupation of these territories, not formally, but in practice. This is a critical difference. Ukraine will not legally surrender the land. Instead, it will accept the reality of the battlefield while continuing to claim sovereignty on paper. This model, known as a de facto occupation, allows for a temporary pause in violence without conceding national integrity. It is a bitter pill to swallow for a nation that has fought so hard for every inch of its soil. In a surprising move, Russian President Vladimir Putin has shown openness to direct peace talks, his first such signal since the early days of the invasion. With his forces holding strategic ground, this gesture may come from a place of confidence rather than compromise. These talks, however, are far from guaranteed. Trust is fragile. Previous ceasefire attempts, including the Easter proposal, collapsed within days amid accusations from both sides. If this deal goes through, the war could end, but not the conflict. What we may see instead is a frozen war, much like those in Transnistria, Korea, or South Ossetia. These unresolved disputes linger for decades, with no peace treaty, no final resolution, and no true end. For Ukraine, this could offer a desperately needed pause, but critics warn that it could give Russia time to regroup and strike again, perhaps harder, better prepared, and with even more devastating force. The Trump administration views this development as a potential path to a swift end. President Trump has been vocal about reducing the financial cost of supporting Ukraine. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, however, has warned that without progress, the U.S. may walk away from peace efforts altogether. This divide in American leadership reflects broader global fatigue, where support remains strong, but patience wears thin. European leaders have remained steadfast in their support for Ukraine's territorial integrity. But if Kyiv moves toward this agreement, the response from Europe will be crucial. Will they endorse a path to peace, or see it as a dangerous concession to Putin? For the people of Ukraine, this is no longer just geopolitics. It's a personal tragedy. They face an impossible choice: accept Russian control to stop the bloodshed or fight on in a war they may not have the resources to win. And as history reminds us, peace without justice is rarely lasting. The failed Minsk agreements still cast a long shadow over any proposed solution today. Is this the beginning of peace, or just a lull before a darker storm? Can a temporary acceptance of occupation prevent permanent loss, or will it embolden future invasions? As world leaders weigh their options and diplomats calculate every word, the people on the ground wait, hope, and fear what comes next. This is not just Ukraine's war. It's a test of global resolve, of international law, and of our willingness to defend freedom, even when it's inconvenient.